Good morning. Welcome to the Crawford County Commissioners Work Session for June 5th. We'll start with a proclamation.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Effective June 3rd to June 7th, Crawford County will be proclaiming Crawford County Child Welfare Appreciation Week. Whereas every day in Crawford County, children are at risk of child abuse and neglect or have been removed from their homes due to such abuse and neglect. And whereas Crawford County recognizes the risks and the need to protect the children of the county, and whereas the challenging task of investigating child abuse, providing services to families, assessing safety, and providing services to ensure that Crawford County's children are provided with nurturance, family connections, support as they transition into adulthood, and services that allow a child to remain safely in their home or return home as expeditiously as possible, falls to the child welfare professionals of the child welfare system. And whereas the work of child welfare professionals may require them to enter into situations in which their personal safety may be put at risk, and whereas child welfare professionals work in difficult and emotional situations with children who have been victimized by physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, and other forms of maltreatment, and whereas child welfare professionals must develop great skill in working with families who are in crisis situations, struggling with mental health challenges, suffering from drug and alcohol afflictions, poverty, and other difficult issues, and whereas child welfare professionals must develop substantial knowledge and skills surrounding the rights of families, the laws surrounding child welfare, how to develop culturally sensitive services, and the legal processes governing the system. And whereas child welfare professionals selflessly undertake the endeavor to protect Crawford County's children, often with low pay, long hours, tremendous demands, little appreciation, great criticism, and with dramatic impacts to their personal life. And whereas every year child welfare professionals are injured or killed in their pursuit to protect children across the United States, and whereas workforce challenges have created tremendous challenges in the field of child welfare, and whereas innumerable injuries and deaths of children have been averted due to the efforts of child welfare professionals, therefore, in special recognition of the efforts of the child welfare professionals serving the children of Crawford County, we, the Crawford County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim June 3 to 7, 2024 as Crawford County Child Welfare Appreciation Week.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. We thank you, our Human Services, and Sue, you can thank them for us too as well. Really appreciate them. The Conservation District will be Gina Chatfield on behalf of Tracy Crawford.
Conservation District is requesting to reopen the district's technician assistant 2 position. This would be a part-time summer position filled June 17th, 2024 through August 9th, 2024. This is with no benefits and full reimbursement to the county.
Any questions for Gina?
No, sir.
Thank you. The Crawford County Correctional Facility.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Jack.
Jack.
Morning, Jack.
Looking for approval for the purchase and installation of 3 receptacles, data drops, and wiring for 3 inmate vending machines. Vending machines are provided by Keith at no cost. Purchase and installation be paid by the commissary funds.
Okay, any questions?
Keith.
Keith, not
Yeah.
Keith. You don't want to do the receptacles for us, Keith? Okay, thank you.
All right.
You? No, neither Keith wants to do that, okay?
Secondly, ratify the payment of $2,211.13 to Howick Motors for replacement of headlight and annual inspection. This is a budgeted item.
So I appreciate you coming in early today, and I've offered up, Gina will tell you too, but anytime you need to use Monica to find an alternative part for that to try and get a lower price, and always obviously look for a couple quotes to get the offshoot. There is some opportunity with Monica. She has a great access to some of those things, so if we could just look for that as we go through. I will say that part it's a headlight assembly, right? So it caused electronic issues, which put the price higher than when it said headlight at first. It drew some pause, but it's actually the whole assembly.
Assembly, and then it causes codes to go off,
Correct.
which wouldn't let it pass
But yeah,
inspection.
when you get a chance, if you need to use Monica, Gina, just email her, right? She can do that for you and handle that. So thank you for
Will
that.
do.
Okay.
Lastly, approve the payment of $3,631.68 to HRI Commercial Food Service for repairs to the jail's kitchen equipment. This is not a budgeted item.
I appreciate you bringing this to me, and I would just like to say, because you always find I beat you up all the time about this stuff, but the other alternative was to replace all the parts in the kitchen, and thanks to you and Scott for looking into this. This is a great way for us to save money to keep the parts we're running in the jail, so we appreciate it.
And they did say that all these repairs will be good probably for 5 years.
Oh, good.
Not to mention the ones that they do will be guaranteed also.
Good, and I did see you got some different quotes on that too, so I
Well, I
appreciate
think the
that.
total cost to replace what you wanted was over $20,000.
Oh, it was-
Oh, it was much higher
It was
than that.
$90,000.
Yeah,
So,
So I appreciate you doing that.
thank you.
2 out of 3 is not bad, Jack. Public safety.
Good morning, Greg.
Greg,
We're asking for you commissioners to adopt the ordinance regarding the establishing of a hazardous material emergency response account, local hazardous chemical fee, and emergency planning fee. This was simply just an update to the cost for each extremely hazardous chemical stored that we talked about.
I think Keith looked at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was an ordinance, we had to advertise notice of tribute, which we did. I had to proof of publication.
Okay.
Like it was in on May 11th, so we're good to go as long as we approve it within 60 days.
Okay, thank you.
Good to go. Yep.
This was off the recommendation of the local emergency planning committee.
That's correct.
Okay.
Are also asking to approve the payment of $3,750 to MCM Consulting for their continued work on the hazard mitigation plan, which will be reimbursed by FEMA. Approve the renewal of our Criticall software annual license at a cost of $2,580. This is a budgeted expense.
Okay.
And improve the enrollment of one public safety employee to attend a virtual communications training officer class conducted by APCO at a cost of $525.
Okay. Any questions for Greg?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
The courts?
Morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Betty.
We're requesting the approval of payment of the attorney registration fees at $275 for conflict counsel, parent attorneys, and GALs totaling $2,475. This is a budgeted item.
Okay.
Next, we're requesting approval for payment of attorney registration fees at $275 for court employee attorneys totaling $1,375. This is also a budgeted item.
Okay.
Next item is to confirm $340 to Badalino Land Service for half cost of hardscaping widened driveway from the warrant fee split funds for the MDJ Vernon office.
Is that, you were widening the driveway?
I believe so, Eric.
Hardscaping, I've never heard that.
Mark,
word
do you
before.
know, that's not work that you guys did?
I don't believe so.
Widening the driveway last fall or winter.
Okay, I thought you guys had, okay,
That's right, it widened.
okay.
And
I'm sorry,
then-
Betty.
Okay.
I just didn't remember what part it was.
I wasn't real involved in that,
That's
so
okay.
I apologize. The next item, I'm not sure if we need to leave on. Commissioner Seeley, do you have any, did that get hashed
We're hoping we can
out?
do a budget transfer to cover this, but let's go ahead and speak to it in the event we are not
Okay.
able to do that.
Okay, so the next item we have is to ratify the reimbursement of mileage to Senior Judge Rita Marwood for $369.84.
So my question has been, and I talked to Chris about this too, I'm yet to find a place where we reimburse mileage for someone who's not an employee of the county. So, and we were trying to determine if the state, boy, Betty, I'm sorry for you having to come in and fill for Heidi.
That's okay.
If the state was paying her mileage opposed to the county paying her mileage, because she's a senior, I assume she's in a senior judge
Okay,
capacity.
So Kim in our office deals with the senior
Okay.
judge requests, and I just spoke to her this morning, and it's my understanding from her that the state does not reimburse us for senior judge mileage.
So that, but like, if you have a senior judge over here was filling in prior to having 3 judges, anybody pay his mileage when he was here?
That I can't say for certain.
Okay. We did
I-
not, okay.
Okay.
That's a couple questions I have is if the county can pay for mileage who's not an employee or even a contracted employee of the county, because they're getting paid by the state. They're actually, this mileage is a reimbursement of someone who doesn't work for the county anymore. So I was just curious about if we can do that even, so. That may be a
Okay.
Keith question, I don't know, so.
Yeah, first I'm hearing of it, I can check into
Okay.
it. I mean, I think if there's a contract in place, certainly, you could, like even, like, I know, I don't ask for mileage reimbursements when I go to my county solicitor.
Sure,
conferences.
we appreciate that.
But I think if it had been written into my contract, I think you could have done
Could
it,
do,
even
yeah.
though I'm not a county
Yeah.
employee per se. But I don't know if there's anything out there with respect to the MDJ.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's a contract for a senior judge filling in for an
Right.
MDJ, so.
It was our understanding that there is an allowance that the state makes, however, the mileage allowance is far less than what had been driven, so it was not,
So it must be a distance cap
it
though,
was
because they're
not
probably covering.
amenable to, correct, it was not amenable to the judge, so they were looking for an alternate.
Maybe we could look into that just to see
Okay.
if Kim can help with that. Okay,
Okay, sounds good.
thank you.
And the last thing we have is requesting approval for amendment to the MDJ Meadville lease, eliminating additional rent fees for utilities and ground fees, retaining the fee of $304 per month for custodial fees.
So I'll start, I guess, but I only have a concern for this because of what Keith's email was, which I appreciate him following through on. I'm not really in favor of being tied to another year through the contractual language that says we must be tied through 2025. I've said for many years now that we have space. I'm sorry, Betty, you're going in. That there's space in this courthouse for the MDJ's office, and that is still my goal is to save that money. This contract ties us to another year in that space, and although I do appreciate the utilities and grounds fee being eliminated, which does lower the rent, the cost of coming here minus security and the rent itself is several $1,000s that could save the county. So that's just my stance. I couldn't approve an amendment based on the fact that it ties us to that language. I think Keith had said there's a way to continue, like the language basically said it was a continual lease. I would be fine with that if the language would be changed.
Yeah, the original lease had options for the county to extend it year by year for 2024 and 2025, and the new one basically locks in the rest
Yeah.
of 2024 and all of
Yeah,
2025. And in exchange for that, it looked like you were getting a
I'm-
concession on utilities and such.
I personally would not be in favor of that. So.
I would echo the goal ultimately is, of course, to allow or to ask the judge to move into this building just for the overall cost savings. Feasibly speaking, that would not take place prior to 2025, frankly. So the idea of having him there until 2025, to me, is a foregone conclusion at this point. So I'm not opposed to locking that in for 2025, just as a reality of the situation right now.
I would just double back on that. I appreciate Chris for his comment, but I would only say that I think the move would be minimal, and if that move was if there ever was a trigger pull to do that, I, as a commissioner, would do anything I possibly could to be as ready as quickly as possible, even including hiring the outsourcing of getting the work done to get it here, because at the end of the day, it's a security cost, and it's a rental cost, which we don't need. So I mean, we need to fill this building up. We put millions of dollars in this building, in air handling units and windows, and now remodeling, and it needs to be filled in order for the taxpayers to get their fair shake on the money they have. So I'll still be a no, but I do appreciate them eliminating the thing. Thank you for that. So thank you, Betty. Thanks,
Thank
Betty.
you.
The Prothonotary, welcome.
Morning.
Morning.
Hi, Emmy.
Hello.
I'm just here to renew my Higgins agreement, maintenance agreement for 12 months. And it has a 30-day prior to expiration date as well.
And you did talk to fiscal, you said, right? And whatever the best. I think what we're doing now is definitely we're owning and not leasing. Are we right? Okay. All right. Any questions for him?
Good to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning.
Morning, Commissioner.
Wow, Zach.
Buckle up.
We're gonna try to get through as quick as possible.
You're gonna have to
Sorry,
stop
Sue.
halfway
Most people
through.
didn't want to get behind you, but now it's Zach. So.
Yeah, we're
I'm
almost
gonna have to
hitting
go
the
smoke
Greek
a cigarette about after
Yeah.
question number 7, me and Gina.
So the first item this morning, we're asking approval for a payment to Vogue Heating and Cooling to reimburse their training wages associated with the Construction Workforce Industry Program. Those total amount is $1,280. It's paid for out of our whole home.
Okay.
The next is a reimbursement to Ferguson in the amount of $576 for the same purpose, and is reimbursed out of the same pot of funds.
Okay.
The third is a payment to R.E. Johnson Electric in the amount of $2,528 for the same purpose and the same pot of funds.
Can I ask you one question about this? So
Yep.
we attended the Crawford Tech graduations, Chris and I did,
Yes,
and then
we
you re-signed a contract. So there is
We did.
another portion, right? That money is paying after graduation for how long of time?
Correct. So it's going to cover 6 months of employment, and that is those contracts are being ratified later on in this.
Okay,
in
thank
this
you.
meeting.
Thank you.
So, the fourth item, we're asking for a partial payment to Porter Consulting Engineering in the amount of $2,839.94 with engineering services for Heidi Cooper Park. This is paid for out of the CDBG-CV pot of funds.
Okay.
We're also asking for approval to pay a payment application number 4 to XL Excavating Inc. in the amount of $146,559.95 for Heidi Cooper Park. This is again paid for out of CDBG CV3 funds.
Okay.
We're asking for approval for an invoice from LSSE Civil Engineers and Surveyors in the amount of $6,550. This is for the Conneautville Water Street Stormwater Project, and it's paid for out of the county's fiscal year 2020 CDBG program. We're asking to pay a partial payment for the Meadville Tribune's invoice in the amount of $222.75. This is for modification hearing notices associated with the city's 2021 CDBG contract, and is paid for out of that fund. We're also asking for a partial payment for the same invoice from the Meadville Tribune in the amount of $707.50 for the invitation to bid notices associated with Venango Borough's Carl Gordon Park project. That's paid for out of the county's 2020 CDBG contract.
And you think groundbreaking would be,
Should be within the next few months.
Okay.
They're ironing out all the final details for the Venango Borough project.
Okay.
It should be within the next couple
and
months.
appreciate Sam for all her work with that too, so.
Yep. The next item, I'm requesting to ratify that, given the fact that the date of the conference is today. So we didn't
I'm amenable
we
to
didn't
that.
catch that one.
Okay, for
But
aye,
we're gonna
yes.
request approval
You
to
okay
send
with
Caleb
Yeah.
Thayer to the
Yeah.
PA Rural Housing Summit at Seven Springs today in the amount of $48.60. That's paid for out of the general funds. Both Caleb and Samantha in our office were requested to go present the whole home repair program to the state at that conference.
Out of curiosity, how is it only $48.60?
They're paying because they're
We're not
presenting.
paying the conference registration
see.
because they're
Because
presenters.
they're
We got
presenters.
conference
Okay.
registration for free, so
So this is just
mileage
Mileage.
down and back.
mileage. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, are you amenable to that? Ben?
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
The next item we're
Tell them to
requesting.
turn around and come home.
Yeah, get back.
The next item we're requesting through a resolution, the approval to contract with the Northwest Commission for a unified planning work program associated with developing a countywide transportation safety plan, committing the local match to it, and authorizing the chairman to sign and execute on contracts associated with that. It would be a 10% match for the project. We've been awarded up to $140,000 from the Northwest Commission, and so there would be a $14,000 match.
Okay.
We're also asking for approval of a resolution to create a program titled the Vibrant Small Communities Grant Program. This is to aid small and rural communities investing in Crawford County and through projects and programs that align with the county's anticipated comprehensive plan, Crawford Inspired.
Okay, thank you.
We're also asking for approval of the 2024 Fair Housing Resolution. This is a requirement of the federal funding that we receive through the Department of HUD. We are also seeking approval. The Planning Commission has recommended to the board the approval of a grant award through the Blight Revitalization Program with Common Roots, $7,300 for the demolition of a single-family structure at 434 Poplar Street here in Meadville.
Okay.
We're seeking approval to award Act 13 at-risk bridge grant to Wayne Township in the amount of $14,947.04. This is for the replacement of Frenchtown Road's culvert. The township is matching that 50%, so they'll cover the other $14,000.
Okay.
We're also requesting approval via resolution, policies, approving the policies established by the county's Act 13 Unconventional Well At-Risk Bridge and Environmental Initiatives Grant Program be authorized by the board. So what we did previously was annually do resolutions authorizing those programs.
Okay.
Okay. We're requesting approval of a resolution by the board to authorize the chairman to sign minor contract changes associated with any existing contracts that we have that are less than 15%, which is the standard change order. So rather than running every change order through the meeting and have this go to double A or double Z, we're asking that the chairman be able to sign minor change orders.
We talked about
We
that.
talked
Thank you.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're also asking to ratify a letter of understanding between Crawford County and Conneautville Borough for the Community Development Block Grant fiscal year grant 2021 fiscal grant year for their Washington and Second Street Stormwater Project. This amount is $24,500. This is not adding additional funding. This is cleaning up paperwork. So every fiscal year, we have to have a grant agreement signed. You've already signed this agreement, but we did not ratify, or we did not get it into a meeting, so this is to ratify.
Okay.
Okay. We are also asking to ratify Samantha Travis going to the PA Land Bank Summit and the PA Rural Housing Summit yesterday and today. The cost will be $498.08, and it's paid for out of general funds. And then finally, we're asking to ratify the approval of 3 workforce and retention program agreements between Crawford County and R.E. Johnson to provide 24 weeks, half a year of on-the-job training, and this is paid for out of whole home.
And that's
That
what
was
the
one we
follow-up
were
to that would be?
speaking about.
Okay.
That is aimed to help retain workforce once they graduate high school.
So those kids went through the first part of the program and now we'll retain them, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Where does Sam have to travel to for this?
Seven Springs.
Well, that's tough.
Any questions for Zach?
Just back on the P real quick, I just want
Yeah.
to do one quick follow-up. So there's going to be some contract language added to those.
Yes.
That basically the full board will approve. It
Okay.
will say that the chairman will be authorized to sign off on minor changes. that
Okay.
makes it
Correct. Less than 15%.
Okay.
Yeah, so the full board approves the contract that says that the chairman would have a signing authority to approve minor changes.
Okay.
That way you don't have, like he said, adding tons of new entries to the agenda.
What classifies like a minor change, Keith? I mean, just some wording differences or?
So
No, I think it has to do with change orders,
it's,
right?
yeah, what we're trying to prevent is whenever we have contracts that have change orders associated with the budget that are less than 15%, that would trigger a minor change. So it's a financial trigger for minor, not necessarily.
monetary
it's a
issue is
monetary
what-
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because sometimes the contractors get in the middle of these jobs and they encounter some unexpected things.
Correct.
They gotta-
Like they might tear out a wall and go, oh, we've got to replace all of these 2x4s, but they didn't scope for that in that
Okay.
project.
We'll hear from Chris anyways.
I would ask
So
a
you let us
question.
know.
So the minor changes are 15% of the total. Makes it
15% of
minor.
the total.
But what if there are 10 minor changes in that, which collectively make it,
It's the total, it's if any of the change orders go over 15%. So even if it's 2 change orders that go over 15, automatically will trigger them back.
all right,
Yeah, it's cumulative.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Maintenance.
Morning.
Morning, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Mark?
So does that go for maintenance too, or just
No.
the planning office?
Good try.
Thanks,
Unless it means you're gonna repaint the color you picked in your office, that's different.
I don't look good. It's cheery. Asking to ratify approval of invoices for the courthouse remodeling project, the new maintenance office for $1,815.77.
Okay,
Asking approval to pay A.W. Farrell and Son to repair the roof at the Judicial Center for $811.96.
okay,
Asking approval to pay Brian Noah, project manager, for professional services for the month of May 2024 for $382.50.
okay,
Asking approval to pay Penelec, this is to set a new pole and transformer at the fairgrounds for $25,103.58.
and this is in conjunction with the Fair Board is doing another project on their own, and they've invested
$26,800.
26,000 in there, and that would be to provide additional electrical service for
Yes.
campers, right?
Yep, that
Okay.
has needed upgraded for a while, it'd be a
No.
nice upgrade.
And I think it's great because the fair could afford to do that.
Yes.
So they fiscally did a good
Yeah.
job and you're able to do that, so, great.
Asking approval to ratify approval to pay Ramp Construction, for application number 1 for a new roof on the U-Show Arena at the fairgrounds for $178,200.
Okay,
Asking approval to pay Sagan Tractors Sales for new hydraulic pump on the Ford tractor for $718.80.
we got deduction out of Reader Span's paycheck, I think,
Yes.
that'd be good, so, okay?
Yes. Asking approval to pay Amp Electric, this is to complete the electrical work at the fairgrounds for $26,800 through the CoStarz contract 008-E24-1297.
That will come from the fair,
That'll be reimbursed by the fair board. yes.
okay,
And last, ask approval to pay Strongland Roofing Systems. This is for application number 2 for work done on the correctional facility roof project for $17,381.25.
Do you know how much far they have to go? I was wondered.
No.
Do you know?
I haven't got an
Okay.
update lately.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Human Services.
Hello, Sue.
Morning, Sue.
I'm requesting approval of payment to Meadville Western Crawford County Chamber of Commerce for Lexus Kuhn to attend Leadership Meadville. Total cost is $1,000. The cost of the county is $100.
Okay.
Requesting approval of the fiscal year 23-24 CYSJP contract with the Clock Tower Schools for Boys Residential. We have not contracted with this provider before, but JP would like to have their program available as a placement option.
Okay.
Requesting approval of the C1 amendment to the fiscal year 23-24 contract with Supports Incorporated for base services not otherwise specified and home accessibility adaptations. This amendment is changing the line from adaptive equipment appliances to base services not otherwise specified to coincide with what's listed within the ODP bulletin for ISPs. This amendment is also adding a code to the contract for modification to the home of an ID individual up to $20,000.
Okay.
Requesting approval of the fiscal year 23-24 professional contract with Common Roots for the retained revenue plan for startup costs for a furniture closet. The provider has been approved to renovate the area that will house the furniture closet.
And there used to be a furniture closet, right, but it closed down, correct?
Yes.
Who used to do it before? You mean?
Chaps.
Chaps, okay, thank you.
Requesting approval of the fiscal year 24-25 contract with Central County's Youth Center for placement at the Youth Center, transportation, and court hearings. CCYS is a 14-bed co-ed secure detention facility that is operated by 5 counties in central Pennsylvania and is located in Center County. We previously contracted with them in fiscal year 21-22 and 22-23. They would not contract with us in fiscal year 23-24 due to a lack of available bed space. They're now opening their facility back up to other counties.
Okay.
Requesting approval of the fiscal year 24-25 contract with Lisa Piero for forensic interviewer services, professional fees, training courses, and insurance reimbursement. As the forensic interviewer, Lisa conducts all interviews of alleged abuse and other miscellaneous interviews for CYS and the DA's office. She schedules forensic medical exams as needed and conducts monthly multidisciplinary investigation team meetings. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 24-25 contract with Perseus House for intensive transitional unit, shelter, and transitional living services. These are the same services that we contracted for in the current year. And then I have 3 contracts at the same rates as prior years.
Okay.
CYSJP contracts are with ECL Partners for their life program on one-on-one intensive supervision. Parkside Psychological Associates for CART, trauma services, risk and psychosocial evaluations, sexual offender polygraphs, ABLE assessments, and trauma training. And 1 professional contract with Parkside for CART trauma services, risk psychosocial evaluations for MH&ID, sexual offender polygraphs, ABLE assessments, and staff trauma consultations.
Any questions for Sue?
No.
Thank you,
Thank
Sue.
you.
Thank you.
Sheriff Powers.
Good morning, Sheriff.
I'm here to get approval for the rapid scan service contracts for our x-ray machines. They are $4,989.60 apiece. There's 2 at the Judicial Center, and now there's 1 in the courthouse. The total is $14,968.80 is the budgeted items.
The 2 in the Judicial Center, 1 is for jury entrance, right, around the other side?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, okay.
And there's 2 line items as well.
Okay. Any questions for Dave?
Nope.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Finance?
Good morning.
Morning.
Howdy.
For your approval, I have the following invoices. The first to Community Health Services, invoice number 175. It's their April 2024 MATP trips in the amount of $76,311. The second is to P Corp. It's INV 058865. It's our 2024-25 general liability renewal in the amount of $503,666. Third is to Tucker, Johnson, and Smeltzer. It's invoice number 102536. It's our AP agency fee for our general liability renewal. The cost is $30,000. The fourth is to Remedy Analytics. It's invoice number 16279-532. It's Q1 2024 pharmacy consulting costs in the amount of $46,754.60. For your ratification.
Oh,
I-
Stephanie, one question. So, Chris, this is actually newer for Chris. Could you?
Yeah.
She would love to explain to you. Could you give
He
the
says
basic
that
general
facetiously.
consensus? Because I actually, it's good you probably do that because he's not aware of that.
Yeah,
concept.
pharmacy consultant, yeah.
Okay, so a couple years ago, we met with our broker and were introduced to the pharmacy consultant who run the analytics. They go through our pharmacy bills and they do cost avoidance. So they negotiate our contracts down and they take a percentage of the monies that the cost we avoided
Right.
over that period of time.
As
So
their
that's what
commission,
this-
essentially.
correct.
I understand.
That's what
Okay.
this reflects.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, for your ratification, I have the following two invoices. The first is to CNB, no, I'm sorry, it's not CNB. Should just be P-CHIP. It's to P-CHIP, invoice number 173308-0. It's the June 2024 health insurance in the amount of $656,690.57. And the second is to Spartansburg Events. It's a 2024 small grant award in the amount of $15,000.
Okay. Any questions for Stephanie? Okay. And now GIS.
Okay, we're requesting ratification of the contract with Civic Vanguard for GIS consultation and support services. This is an on-call service on an as-needed basis. We only pay if we use them. This is not a budgeted item.
Thank you. And I guess because it's a good time to
Yeah.
explain it, thank you, Gina, for doing that. But the commissioners have taken an approach to GIS where we have a mixed bag of assistants here. We have Dave, Amy, and then we hired a partial position out of assessment to help Janet. And Gina has been helping get the office continually running and still running. And this organization will be available to us to provide support if needed. But I will say, as Scott always said, no one has died so far in GIS, which is great. It has worked great, and we look forward to working with this company. This is a company that Dave found, right, as a vendor at the GIS conference he went to?
We actually worked with them before. They've done
Okay.
some work in the past with Crawford County, so they're familiar with our parcels.
Good.
Which was a bonus for us. And the fact that they offer 24/7 on-site or on-call, remote, whatever we need from them, but we only pay if we need them. And their goal is to teach the staff what they need to know so that eventually
Oh,
they'll
good.
outwork themselves, get themselves
Yeah,
out of a
great.
job.
Themselves out of a job.
So, yeah, so that's the goal. So this hopefully will only be a few years temporary situation with them.
Great. Well, one of the directions we went, we realized we couldn't keep up with the wages of a GIS manager. So we've tried this approach, and I think it's got a good chance of being very successful. So we'll look forward to other things. The commissioners?
Okay, I have some notifications. The first one's from Dyson Helmy on behalf of East Mead Township for Chapter 105 GP7 permit for the proposed Hatch Hill Road culvert replacement in East Mead Township. A notification from Kimley Horn on behalf of Rockland Solar LLC in care of Birch Creek Development for NPDES permit application for stormwater discharge associated with the installation ground-mounted principal solar energy system to a site in East Fairfield Township. Notification from Endeavor Professional Services on behalf of Pin Oak Energy Partners LLC for erosion and sediment control general permit 3 for construction of one infiltration basin and the restoration of an existing gravel area in East Fallowfield. Notification from Vitro Meadville Flat Glass LLC regarding water quality management permit for construction of reverse osmosis wastewater treatment system in Greenwood Township. Notification from Aegis Company on behalf of Post Consumer Brand regarding an air quality only operating permit renewal in Vernon Township. And notification from PADEP for an NPDES permit to allow for discharge of treated sewage to surface waters at the Commonwealth in Centerville Borough.
Thank you, Gina. Any other questions for Gina? Okay. Upcoming events, the next full session will be June 12th. The next work session will be June 19th. Any public comment? Commissioner comments. Commissioner Steely.
Nothing at this time. Just again, thank you to our COIS workers and all the hard work that they do. It's certainly a privilege to recognize that. And being here for the last several months, I've learned a lot more about that role than I think I ever really had had an idea of before, and I can see the risks and the hazards, but the passion that our employees put into their jobs and the immense amount of difference they make in the lives of the most vulnerable citizens of Crawford County. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Commissioner Shell?
I would echo the same thing as Commissioner Seeley. To heading up something like that's got to be, I guess it's rewarding in one way, but it's got to be awful stressful on the other. So, but keep doing what you're doing.
And anybody who's interested, if you have a background and that type of work, we have openings. So if
yes.
you're interested, you can see Sue. She'll gladly get you situated and get one of our
Competitive pension
openings.
program, all
We're at
sorts
the
of-
level where our supervisors are taking caseloads, and we appreciate all levels of our workers, because that's just the position that not only us but other sitting on the Human Services Board for CCAP. It's across the Commonwealth. It's an issue finding staff. So we do appreciate that. I'd also like to add that the Board of Commissioners did a tour this past week of the libraries, and frankly, to be honest with you, we were enlightened by many things. We found out that you can with a library card, you can get a fishing pole and a free thing of worms at the Sagertown Library. Scott thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Also, we all either renewed or received our library card, and we encourage you to do the same thing. September is National Library Month, and so we're going to run a program with them. If you get your new library card, they'll be giving a gift card away. The card will be donated by the commissioners themselves, not the county. But we certainly want to promote our partners in the library system in all the areas. We actually were able to visit all the local libraries, which is really interesting. So I thank them for everything they're doing.
Took all day, and it was our tour guide, Jess Hilburn, coincidentally the chairman of the Crawford County Planning Commission, had our itinerary down to the minute.
Yes.
Yes.
And we were only about 6 minutes off the whole day, so.
And it was really,
half of
truly
her.
amazing, because when you think of libraries, you think of books. And no, what Eric said about the fishing poles, you can go to the library, any library in a county, you get a
You get a
fishing
shop
pole.
vac.
And along with fishing tackle and a certificate to go get bait, a leaf blower,
blowers,
shop vac.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can get at the library.
Yeah.
So,
If you don't have your card, get your card. Or
oh, you
renew
need
it.
your
So,
card, yeah, but please go get your card, they're free of charge.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.